This means it's time to put up or shut up for the series' top drivers. Steve Kinzer carried a scant 11-point lead into the Eldora High Bank. Steve Dahl, for the second time in 2 years, hit the Eldora wall hard. He walked away, leaving his points lead crumpled in turn one. Hometown favorite Dave Blaney muscled his way past the series-leading money winner Mark Kinzer, and the Buckeye Bullet staked his claim to the role of favorite for tonight's run at $50,000 and the King's Royal Crown.
It is a perfect evening for the greatest show on dirt. The 14th running of the King's Royal at Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio. Well, the cover of the latest issue of Open Wheel magazine pretty much says it all. Eldora, the baddest track of all. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Evans. Now, the drivers have a love-hate relationship with this nasty old oval. Some of them love it, and some of them hate it. As far as the fans are concerned, well, I think we know where their sympathies lie. Now, we hope you enjoyed the show we brought you last night. Actually, it was more about 3 o'clock this morning. But still, sleep or not, we're all pumped for the King's Royal, because it begins what we call the month of money. Take a look. Starting with the King's Royal and ending with the Knoxville Nationals, which also will be live here on TNN, a driver who can sweep the table, knock all the balls in, win 4, will collect over $280,000 from a $1 million purse, and maybe enough points to get the Pennzoil $200,000 in the year-end bonus. Now let's take a look at tonight's format. Already 6 heat races have been completed, and the top 3 transferred directly to the A main. First up live tonight, we'll show you the 12-lap C main, started straight up by time. The top 4 will tag the 15-lap B main. The top 4 out of the B main go to the A main, but they could start as high as 7th because they get their qualifying times back. And the cool thing about the King's Royal, promoter Earl Baltus has always demanded a great show. So what's he do? For 50 grand, he inverts the top 6 for 40 laps. It's going to be a wild one. And I'll tell you, as late as it was last night, it was still thrilling because one of Ohio's own, the Buckeye Bullet, strangled him. Here's Bobby Gerald.
That's right, Steve, and the man hoping to take home the first $50,000 in the month of money is the Buckeye Bullet, Dave Blaney. Now, Dave and his Kenny Woodruff wrench number 10 have won the last 2 World of Outlaw events here at the Eldora Speedway. Dave, you were plenty fast last night, but the night before the King's Royal, only in the last 10 years, only one time has a guy won the night before and came back to win the big money on Saturday night. Can you do it tonight?
Really? Oh, yeah, we can do it. It doesn't look like we're going to have that great of a starting spot, but 40 laps here is a long way. If you're working good and you can get up on the racetrack, you got a shot at it.
Your driving style on this racetrack, you run a noticeably different line. How long did it take you to learn to run that close to the fence?
I've probably been coming here 15 years and probably done it wrong 13 years. So now it's a little bit of a confidence thing here, but it's a lot more of a race car thing. Well, you got to get your car entering the corner just right so you don't have to shake it loose up there, and you can set sail if you can get that race car entering just right.
Dave Blaney was spectacular last night. We're expecting more of the same from him tonight. Joining me in the pits, as usual, is Dave Reef.
And I'm down with a guy who knows everything about making a lot of money. Mark Kinzer and his father have won a lot of money over the last year. In fact, last year they won 3 of the 4 big sprint car races that will take place over the next 30 days. That's $250,000 alone. But one thing Mark Kinzer and Carl Kinzer have never done, won the King's Royal. What would it mean for you to win that tonight?
It would mean a lot. You know, the King's Royal was actually began before they even had the big one, so there's a little bit more tradition here, maybe a little bit less money, but we would like to win this for ourselves and for our sponsors, Stu Murray of Workin, Ray Williams, and Phil Durst. They're all probably watching on TV. Stu's are standing right here, so we're going to do our best job.
Well, the best thing for Mark Kinzer going so far tonight, he's the quick qualifier, and he's already made it through his heat, so he's already in the A main. Let's go upstairs to the eyes in the sky. That would be Ralph Shaheen and Brad Doty. Thank you, Dave. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our marathon coverage of live Pennzoil World of Outlaws sprint car racing from here at Eldora, Ohio. 7 straight hours of action from here last night. If you stuck with us, you truly are an Outlaw fan, and we really appreciate you hanging in there with us. It was a long night for everybody. At least 2 hours of great racing for you here tonight. $50,000 up for grabs, and the 14th annual Kings Royal champion will be crowned here tonight. This racetrack, as we have already stated, is one of the most daunting of them all. And Brad, when you talk to the drivers as they roll into the pit area here, they will all tell you as soon as they step out of the transporter, their heart's beating a little bit quicker, and there's a lot of adrenaline flowing because of this racetrack. Why is that?
Mine is. Goosebumps. I'll tell you, I've got them now. Just the speeds, 150 mile an hour plus down the straightaways, that far from the wall. Dave Blaney talked about entering the corner. If your car is nice, it takes a lot of control to be up there. As you see, it's 850 feet through the turns, 28-degree banking. Your neck gets sore, your arms get sore, the fatigue sets in, you're running inches from the wall. It takes a lot of concentration, Ralph.
And you can see from the pictures how it's a constant turn here. It really is tiring on these drivers. Now, points is a really big story here, as well as the money. Coming into tonight, it is the closest battle we have ever seen in the Pennzoil World of Outlaws history of this series as they chase the championship leading into tonight. You can see there's been a bit of a change atop of the point standings. Last night, it was Steve Kinzer on top as we went into the race. Tonight, Sammy Swindell with a 5-point lead on top of Dave Blaney. But the key is really the Steve Kinzer story and what happened to him and how he got knocked back to fourth in the point standings. With more on the King's story, here's Bobby Gerald.
Well, Ralph, many of the viewers were with us last night on TNN, and they saw a scary crash in the A-main event. Steve Kinzer working traffic and getting into turn number 1. He got up high, got the car into the wall, and it was a pretty ugly flip. The good news is that the King is okay, and he's back here ready to race tonight. Maybe the bad news, and I don't know. We'll ask Steve for the team, is that you're racing with a backup car tonight, Steve. And is this car tonight as good as the one that you set quick time with last night?
No, it's not as good as car. This car here was actually built to run just on a mile tracks, and we started to roll another one in the trailer, but we wasn't planning on tearing one up last night. So it's got some low frame rails on it. They're pounding on the ground a little bit, but you never know what's going to happen in racing. It's a complete different night, and we might get by with it, but it don't feel near as good as the car I had last night.
Steve Kinzer, 14-time World of Outlaw champ, 3-time winner of the Kings Royal, the only guy to win it 3 times. Steve, you got a lot of fans, a lot of them concerned about how you're feeling today.
Oh, I'm feeling all right. It was, it banged me around a little bit stuff, but we come out of it pretty good. This is a place you really don't want to be trying to knock a wall down. I've hit Earl's wall many a times here, and I've not knocked it down yet, so it seems to win all the time.
Glad to see you're all right. He is one tough customer, Ralph Shaheen.
He is arguably the toughest driver in the entire world of motorsports. $50,000 up for grabs at a King's Ransom, and the Outlaws in action when we come back. Tonight's TNN Motorsports special presentation of the King's Royal is brought to you by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Go Pennzoil. By Mopar, Chrysler Corporation parts, and the Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. And by 104 Plus Octane Boost. Feel the power.
Welcome back to the Kings Royal Eldora Speedway. Body painting is all the rage. That's not very creative, but it says the message. We're live here on TNN. Let's go down to the pits and Bobby Gerald.
Well, Sammy Swindell is the guy who's going to be starting on the pole of tonight's Kings Royal. Sammy back in the trailer right now, working on his helmet, making sure that he's going to be ready to go for tonight's run. And Sammy, a good place to be starting. You won this race in 1992, and you can't get any better than the pole tonight.
Yeah, well, the outside's probably the best place to be, here tonight. And I don't know the way our luck's going. I don't know. We've been running fast and just having a lot of bad luck.
Last night it was a spark plug that kept Sammy probably from a win.
Yeah, something hit it and broke it. It didn't look broke until we, had time to take it apart. We seen that it was busted, and we tried to run on 7 cylinders, got a third out of it. We held on for about 6 or 7 laps, but can't beat these guys on 7.
He'll be hoping for better luck tonight, Ralph Shaheen.
Thank you, Bobby. This is your C feature out on the racetrack right now. And here's a look at the lineup. Tim Engler, Wayne Liebert will make up the first row. Now, Tim Schaefer was supposed to be in here, and he is a scratch out of the C feature. Gus Wasson will line up alongside of him. As you take a look at the rest of the field, I will tell you that 5 cars out of here will go straight to the B main event. 12 laps will be the distance for our C main tonight. 77 cars, Brad, took time here tonight. Drivers coming out of 17 states, and one driver all the way from Australia who timed in real quick. Gary Brazier, we'll be talking a lot about him later on.
Yeah, and the reason for 5 cars instead of 4 as usual, Tim Schaefer scratched out of the B. They're going to take 5 out of the C to the back of the B.
One of the more popular drivers in the C feature here is the driver of the 1A out of Hanover, PA, Scruffy Bobby Allen. And with more on him, here's Dave Reed.
Well, of course, everyone knows Scruffy Allen is one of the original Outlaws. He's been doing this thing forever, but a lot of people don't know. Although those years of successful racing, he is a successful businessman as well. He's lately opened up some go-kart tracks across one in Pennsylvania. I know, Ralph, you've been there. I know I've been there. It certainly is a lot of fun. He's the car number 1A. Hey, and he's got plans to expand. If you live in the Indianapolis area, get ready. Possibility of some go-kart tracks coming to you courtesy Scruffy Allen.
He drives a sprint car. He's got a nickname like Scruffy, and he owns go-kart racing facilities. I mean, what a great guy.
Bobby Allen's he's a real character. If you haven't met him or been around him, he can always make you laugh, it seems like.
Now, the 18Z has been added to the field as an alternate. That's Rick Zeal, who comes out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, driving an Avenger chassis with a Westmar motor in it. Corner Deli Trucks, Toys, and Tops back 18Z. We will be seeing the green next time by. Some of the huge crowd here at Eldora, and we should tell you that if this is the first time you've seen the Kings Royal, the Knoxville Nationals is the granddaddy of them all when it comes to the Pennzoil World of Outlaws. The Kings Royal, Brad, even though it's $50,000 less than the big one, which they race here later this summer, it still ranks in prestige as the number 2 event to win on the calendar next to Knoxville.
Absolutely, and the fans know it too. The fans come out more for the Kings Royal than they do the big one, it seems like, and it is just because of the history and the people that have won it. I don't think they're going to let this go, Ralph. This looks like a pretty ragged start to me, but...
Doug Clark, the flag man, and he's not reaching for the yellow, so we are staying green.
Good thing I'm not a flagman.
Tim Engler in the 73, work at the bottom.
There's Todd Kane in the 99, put the Eldora slide job and split up and took the lead. You can see the black through the racetrack right there in the groove and a nice cushion above it. The racetrack's already up against the wall. We're going to see some great racing with the top hitters running right up there, banging the right rear on the fence all night long.
Watson has the 23 running in 4th position. The 62 of Dwayne Lieber runs in 2nd right now. He's being challenged by Engler, and there's that battle right there. It's a 3-car battle. Lieber, Engler, and Watson running the high side in that order.
See Engler split up there, blocked Gus Watson in the 23. Coming out of turn 2, he's going to go to the bottom and have the line going in. He'll slide up in front of him, take the line away as Engler goes back to the inside and trying to get him back, and he passes him back.
Wayne Lieber, his best finish so far, a 5th at Fremont this year. One of those Ohio drivers holding on here.
That's tight. When you come out of turn 2 here, Ralph, the wall actually comes in, I'm guessing 6 inches or so, and it's easy to slap the right rear on it as you come up out of turn 2.
Contact in the fight for 3rd position, and Dion Hindy, that bright yellow number 11, as we go 3 wide coming through 1 and 2. Engler to the bottom side now. Look at him right down along the poles, Brad.
Right down there, he drove in. There was some moisture, and Dwayne Lieber turned it and tried to get back underneath of him and just couldn't make it stick.
This is the best fight on the racetrack as we battle it out for 3rd. Remember, 5 cars transferring. So right now, Hindy and Engler, those 2 cars you see right there, Engler, the red 73, Hindy, the yellow number 11, they will go on to the A main. Dion taking the position. He debuted at the Kings Royal last year, started in the C, so he's following that right now, and they're going on to the C feature, or onto the B feature, I should say. Here's your leader working through traffic, the 99 car.
Todd Kane, right up there, just nipping at that little bit of cushion. Turn 4 coming down from the start-finish line. He's not really leaning. He doesn't need to at this time. He's not using up all the racetrack again, which is smart. He's using his head, not trying to, as Steve said, trying to knock Earl's wall down. He's just trying to finish up there. Knows he's probably got a pretty good lead. He's just feeling his way around.
Kane started this one in 5th position out of Powell, Ohio, so he's had many laps here, Brad, and as we've said all weekend long, That is one of the things that makes a difference here, feeling comfortable running this racetrack.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to comment a while ago on Dion Hendy. He hasn't been here a lot, and he's doing a great job. And as Dave Blaney even spoke, it takes a long time to get comfortable here and get your race car right.
White flag comes out as you see Engler crossing in front of Doug Clark, and here is your leader coming across now. Todd Kane making his way out of the fourth turn, and he'll take the checkered flag and pick up the win. Watson will come home in second. Hendy is in third. Engler is in fourth. And we will get the official fifth position for you and the final transfer out of the C to the B main as soon as we get it from the World of Outlaws officials. And the top five will look like this. That last name was Bobby Allen, Scruffy. I saw him come under the line, Brad, and I thought maybe, but I knew he had started pretty deep, and I wasn't sure. So we want to wait until the officials give it to it exactly. Kane, Watson, Hendy, Engler, and Allen all move on to the B main. Kenny Jacobs had a real good heat race run, and he is standing by with Bobby Gerald. He'll be in the B, won't he, Bobby?
That's right, Ralph. He did have a good run, and it was close. It came down to the last lap, but he just missed it. He finished fourth. And, Kenny, are you disappointed tonight to be in the B?
Yeah, I'm real disappointed because I made a couple of big mistakes. I made a real bad mistake on the start and got in the mud there. And then a couple of times I tried too quick to get underneath the Australian guy there, and I just messed up. I tried too quick.
He was battling with Gary Brazier, who timed in second quick tonight. Kenny, you've won 3 races already here this year at Eldora, but if you could get into the A main, what would it mean to take home the 50 grand?
Well, I've been trying to win this one for a long time. I haven't been able to get this one, so we're going to try to get this one. I feel real good. I think we'll be able to win the B main, and we'll start 8th in the A main. We can work our way to the front.
Kenny Jacobs, the fastest guy who did not transfer through his heat race. He finished second here in 1991, Steve Evans.
You know, guys, what's really cool here at Eldora, you can sit under that giant grandstand built in the late 1950s. A lot of hardcore fans under there. Or, for $1 less, believe it or not, you can bring your own lawn chair, sit out here with your coolers, your kids, and your family. And if you think the World Outlaws is a guy thing, meet the Merritt family, huh? How's this? Girls love TNN. Mom, Dad, and 3 daughters. Now, I'm going to ask, this is Destry Merritt, and if she can answer a very simple question from Ohio, she's going to win this gorgeous Born to be Wild Pennzoil Outlaws t-shirt. You know who Jack Howdenchild is?
Yes.
Are you a fan?
Yes.
Okay, now, no prompting here. How does Jack spell his first name?
J-A-C.
Perfect. Here's your shirt. We will be right back with the B feature here at Kings Royal at Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio. We are whooping it up big time.
We are back to Eldora Speedway in Eldora, Ohio, just outside of the town of Rossburg. And we are getting ready for the B feature. They're making some last-minute adjustments to the cars, and you've already seen the C main live. The one thing you haven't seen is the heat races. We had 6 of them, and they were spectacular. We did have our cameras rolling. We got a look at the highlights for you from the 6 heat races run earlier tonight with the Pennzoil World of Outlaws as we set up the Kings Royal and 50 grand. Heat 1. Boy, this one was loaded. Shepard and Lasowski were on the front row. Watch Mark Kinzer, the working 5M on the bottom, the white and orange car. He went from 6th on the grid to 1st in the first 2 turns. Mark Kinzer dominated heat number 1. Top 3 cars would transfer on to the A main. Of course, Mark going with them. Jeff Shepard and Joey Saldana going as well. Heat 2, this one was all the 47 car of Johnny Herrera, the Casey's General Stores car of Gil Sonner, the guy that won this one last year, winning heat number 2. Blaney and Frazier going on as well out of that one. Heat 3, watch this as the number 19 of Stevie Smith takes over 3rd. Then the 11 car, boy was he hot, Tim Allison. Was Rick Ferkel, one of the original Outlaws, shooting for him, picking up the win here. Heat number 4, this was the best of them all. Watch the 2 yellow cars, Jack Hodenshield and the 22 Pennzoil car, and Dave Blaney and the vibrant number 10 of the other yellow car. They put on the Eldora slide jobs on each other all night long and put on one heck of a battle in heat number 4. Hodenshield would end up getting out in front of Blaney. He would take the win. Terry McCarl would come along to take over 3rd position and a transfer. Heat 5. This one is Steve Kinzer. And boy, was it ever Steve Kinzer as he got out front of Joe Gurney, takes the win, and Jim Neer comes home in third. Now, heat number 6, this one was really interesting. Sammy Swindell in the blue number 1, the channel lock car, slides up into the wall. The reason why? Chris Gurley's 4C, sitting stopped in turns 3 and 4. But Danny Smith would end up taking the win in his number 4. Sammy would come home in second, and Keith Kaufman would bring the U2 home in third. He's going on to the A main. We're just getting started here at Eldora. Stay with us. Plenty more coming your way.
We are back at the 14th Annual Kings Royal, getting set to push off tonight's B-main event where, hey, Paul McMahon fans, Mopar fans, it's all new tonight. Brand new frame rails surrounding the Mopar power plant. Why the big change, Paul, and what do you hope to learn?
Well, Gary wanted to try one of his own cars this weekend, and we didn't get off to a good start with it, so we just decided to bring out the new car tonight, new Gambler, and hopefully we'll gas her up and get to the front tonight.
He will start inside of row number 3 in a very crucial rookie points chase. That's the B-main.
And Gary Stanton was pretty blunt in saying that he did not like the way that car handled last night at all. Let's check in now with Bobby Gerald.
One guy who did not even get a chance to run his heat race was Jeff Swindell. He pushed off for his heat race, and the motor blew up. It spit a rod right into the side of the pan, and as you can see, it dented it. They had to pull out the motor just a moment ago very frantically, replace it with another Ford Bullet, and Jeff Swindell right now is just getting out and pushed away to go racing here in the B-main. It seems like it's never easy with Jam and Jeff this year in 1997, Ralph.
That's exactly right, Bobby. They had problems with the motors last night. The only Ford in the field. Hey, they're just pushing off the B feature. Don't go away. We're going to take care of a little business. We'll be right back for all the action from the 14th Annual Kings Royal. We are back to Eldora, Ohio. And what a huge crowd. Earl Baltus is crammed in here again tonight. This has got to be the biggest one I think we've ever seen here at the Kings Royal, Brad.
Earl would like to have fans go all the way around this racetrack. That's been his goal, and he's getting real close to it.
Look at them all enjoying it here tonight. And the lineup for the B feature looks a lot like this. Greg Hodnett, who sits 6th in the points, will be up on the front of the front row. Rookie of the Year points contender Donnie Schatz, who leads that category right alongside of him. The Jacobs brothers will make up row number 2. Kenny Jacobs has won here twice before. 4-time All-Star champ Frankie Kerr in row 3. Paul McMahon, who is also battling for that Rookie of the Year title in row 3. Tyler Walker with 3 All-Star victories this year in row 4. As we make our way back through, Lance Blevins in row 6 as we work our way back through this lineup. Daniel Lisowski, the winningest driver ever at Knoxville in here. Larry Neighbors and Butch Schroeder back in row 8. Gus Watson alongside of Dion Hindi in row 10. Those are some of the cars, along with Scruffy, that came up out of the C main.
This lineup is as good as any A main in the country. I mean, you put this kind of money on the line, this is what you get is a B main that's loaded up with some really, really good race cars that are packing them up here, getting ready to come around to get the green flag.
Green flag, and we're racing. Down the back straightaway, Hodnett has the lead as they go into turn 4, and look at Jacobs coming through.
Kenny Jacobs drove to the bottom and drove under Donnie Schatz, put that Eldora slide job on and took second away. Made it look pretty easy.
Schatz runs in 3rd. Frankie Kerr holds on to 4th. Then it's Dean Jacobs, Tyler Walker, Paul McMahon, Jeff Swindell, Ed Lynch giving chase from behind.
Tyler Walker, you mentioned him in the heat race. He jumped a little early. They set him back 2 rows. Ended up finishing 4th in the heat race. It cost him. He could have very easily ran the top 3 and been in the A main. Now he's back here struggling. Greg Hodnett, Sel Michelle, number 11.
Having a good run out front right now, isn't he? Look at him pulling away from Kenny Jacobs, who has won 3 of the last 4 dates on the All-Stars when they've come here to Eldora. He's giving chase, but he's got a lot of ground to make up, but he's in a transfer spot right now to the A main. Now, the 7TW, the Ford of Jeff Swindell. You heard Bobby Gerald talking about the problems they've had with the engine. He's running up on the high groove. There you see him, the Gold Eagle car, and he's got Ed Lynch. You'll see him coming along on the bottom, giving chase.
And we've seen this before. When a guy has to change an engine, Ralph, you don't have time to watch the racetrack. You don't watch the other race cars and the other drivers. So sometimes you miss on the chassis setup because you're so busy thrashing just to get the engine back in the car.
Jeff, a winner at Las Vegas with the World of Outlaws earlier this year has qualified for 9 of 13 attempts for the Kings Royal, trying to do it again here tonight.
Actually, looks like Tyler's getting away from him just a little. Tyler Walker, as you see Greg Hodnett, our leader, coming up on Butch Schroeder. Try to lap him going into turn 1.
Schroeder, one of the Ohio drivers, up high along the wall. That's going to hold up Hodnett.
That really cost Hodnett. Anytime you go to the bottom like that and have to slide back up and wait, you're out of the throttle. You actually just wait to take the cushion back up. But he's so far ahead right now. He's got a good straightaway lead, so he can take his time, but no rear view mirrors, he doesn't know that.
Now he completes the pass as they come out of 1 and 2, and there's a bump right there as they go over the crossover area.
That's where the rigs come through, and that leaves a bump. What that does to your race car, if you go over that straight at 150 miles an hour, the car bounces. Sometimes the front end will push going into the corner. It feels like you're going to drive right through the wall. If you cross over that and try to dive to the bottom, and it shakes the car loose, and you slide, and you think you're going to hit with the right rear, so it can really upset your race car.
Coming out onto the front straightaway and a big pack of traffic in front of him. Honda now dealing with Hindy, and he'll get him on the outside. And Brad, we've always said the guy who does well in the B main has a great shot at the A main because he's the last to see the racetrack in a good racing condition.
That's right, Ralph. He can read his tire wear, know what gear selection to make, and it's like a hot lap session basically. So they and after the B main, the front runners, all the other teams will come over and look at their tires and feel them for heat and look at them and see how they're wearing. So yeah, the B main can sometimes actually be an advantage.
More lap traffic, and he'll look at him go up to the high side. He'll stick that big right rear in that dark, deep mud called the cushion and get a nice run down the back straightaway.
Well, he really got held up there, but again, he's got such a big lead that he's really in good shape. This is just such a momentum racetrack. You just roll around the top and keep your momentum going. You just get faster and faster. If you have to go to the bottom or slide the car, turn it sideways, it just kills that momentum.
Kenny Jacobs still giving chase, but way back. And this one, the B main, all going the way of Greg Hodnett, the San Michelle number 11. There you see him. This car from California having a good run. Hodnett calls Tennessee home, but the win will go to him. The car from California back into the pack. You'll see how far back it is to Jacobs as he crosses the line. Dean Jacobs coming through as well, his brother. Greg Hodnett, the 1995 Kings Royal. He started up front with Steve Kent.
Frankie Kerr came across in third. Got by Dean. Frankie started fifth, so he gets in the A main. The racetrack like this, when it gets a little black and a little drier, it actually makes for better racing, especially here at Eldora. Even though it's a little slick, it doesn't get that much. It doesn't get very slow just because the corner speeds are so high here, and the momentum, like Wave talked, that it's going to be a great race in the main event.
Now here's a look at the unofficial result of this one. Hodnett, Jacobs, Schatz, and Kerr, and Dean Jacobs coming in fifth.
I called that. I didn't realize Donnie Schatz was in third there, so I guess Dean didn't get a transfer.
Bobby Gerald right down there next to the winner. Let's check in with Bobby.
Well, guys, maybe more interesting than talking to Greg right now is watching everyone come over and look at that right rear tire. There's the Kings Royal champion from last year, Johnny Herrera, feeling it and touching it. Devin DeLuzio from Stevie Smith's crew taking a look at it. Dave Blaney, who we talked to early in the show, he's won 2 events here. He's got his hand right on that tire. He looked at the number on the Goodyear tire to see what it was. It was a 25C. And now Sonny Kratzer, who turns the wrenches for Greg Hodnett, finally gets his opportunity to come over and look at it. On the other side, on the left rear, you've got Sammy Swindell and Herrera and Stevie Smith all looking at it. And in the meantime, Greg Hodnett has had a chance to get his helmet off over at the front of the car. And he's talking with some of the World of Outlaw officials right now. And Greg, congratulations on your B-main win, but the bad news is there's still plenty more work to be done.
Yeah, there is. We were pretty good, though. I mean, we were really losing the heat and tightening up there and seemed to help out quite a bit. But, there's a lot of guys in front of us a heck of a lot faster than we are, so we're going to have our work cut out for us.
Does it bother you at all that these guys all come over and look at your right rear tire?
Well, no, we all do the same thing. I mean, that's part of the game. They don't really, we don't try to hide anything. Basically, we all kind of have a pretty good idea, but we want to, everybody kind of just judges for themselves and makes a decision from there.
All right, you're looking pretty good right now. Any secrets that you have that you're not going to share with anyone else about the racetrack? You could tell us and everyone on national TV.
Well, I don't know. Somebody might have a TV monitor around here. I don't know if I want to do that.
All right. Greg Hodnett, nice run in the B main, and we'll wish you well in the Kings Royal.
Thanks. We're going to need it.
All right. Greg Hodnett in car number 11-8 gets the win.
So Greg Hodnett will go on to the A main, as will a bunch of the others, and we'll have all the action of the Kings Royal coming your way on this full moon night. Jam-packed crowd here at Eldora enjoying the racing action as we work our way towards the A main event. 14th annual Kings Royal, crowning of the champion and the handing of the check for $50,000. You can see how much fun these folks have here, as nobody else can find it. Steve Evans took a look around Eldora earlier today.
About any dirt track in America, you can get yourself a beer, right? Here at Eldora, well, you can get a shot in a beer. I'll tell you, a great idea for a T-shirt. I went to a party at Eldora and a race broke out. Let me show you what I mean. It's almost a nightclub atmosphere. And these folks don't just come hours before the race. Sometimes it's days. Earl furnishes tables and chairs and lots of souvenirs and bench racing. Everybody having a great time. Usually there's a DJ up here, but for the Kings Royal, how about a band in the infield? Miss Dangerous Curves and the Easy Street Band. Is she ever hot? You know, there's lots of family areas here at Eldora, but if you like to party, you like to hit it hard and often, this could very well be your kind of racetrack. Anybody having a good time? I don't know.
It's kind of a sprint car Disneyland around here, isn't it?
It sure is.
There's a lot of fun here at Eldora. Earl Baltus knows how to put on a good event. Let's check in with Bobby Gerald, who's standing by with the guy who won this race last year.
Boy, and it was a popular win last year. Does it still bring a smile to your face when you think about that $50,000?
Well, yeah, last year was pretty good for us. This year is not so good right now. We didn't get qualified real good. I think we're going to be starting about 18th or so, but we're going to try to go to the front and get this Casey's General Store car in the front.
40 laps tonight. That's a little bit different than what you guys usually do. Usually it's 30 laps and maybe even 25 on the big tracks, but tonight 40. That's going to help you, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to give me a little more time. Same time I start so far back, you get a chance of getting the lap down early in the race, and we don't want to do that. But, you know, we've been running pretty good. We don't get qualified very good in many races this year, but we race real well. So we're going to try to, you know, get the right tire combination on here and start wherever we got to start and run to the front.
All right, and we're going to send it down. Good luck to you, Johnny. We're going to send it over to Dave Reef, who's standing by with a living legend.
I certainly am. Right now I'm standing in the pits of the 7TW car where after finishing 7th, you would think maybe they're not in tonight's Kings Royal. But they are in on a speed provision. So it is a big night, but not just because it's the Kings Royal, also because Tom Wimmer, the car co-owner, is celebrating his 800th consecutive World of Outlaws start. Pretty big statistics.
In the world of sprint car racing, aggressive is the name of the game. To rise to the top, you must first have an iron will and desire to go the distance. With 800 consecutive starts as a car owner dating back to 1989, that's something 7TW team owner Tom Wimmer has plenty of.
You know, it feels good to have done that and accomplished that, but it's not a big thing. It's winning a championship would mean a lot more.
A humble man, Tom started sprint car racing back in 1986, helping a local racer buy fuel and helping out wherever he could. The hook set for good 1 year later when that racer wanted to sell out.
I looked the other day, we paid $23,000. We bought 2 motors, and there was a couple cars, a bunch of spare parts, and open trailer, and the whole package is $23,000.
Today, that figure wouldn't buy a respectable engine. But with the help of Gold Eagle and Ford, the beat goes on. But as Tom will tell you, it's an expensive sport, and the road to 800 hasn't always been a financial freeway.
There's been some close calls. We broke down once coming back from California, and I think it was in Wyoming or someplace, and rather than just sit there and get the truck fixed and stuff, we rented the truck, loaded the stuff up in a U-Haul truck, and away we came back to Lincoln, Nebraska.
The core of Two Winners Racing, a good team. Co-owner Bob Kramer has seen 500 races himself since joining forces with Tom in 1992. His son, J.D., now handles most of the wrenching duties, and for the last 5 years, Jeff Swindell has been the steerman.
Most owners don't stay that long, you know. There's some of them that have been out here for a long time and been back and forth, but to sit here and consistently be here all the time, that's very impressive in any kind of sport.
Well, I think, you know, one of the neat things about it is Gold Eagle's been around for about 300, and we've signed another contract with them, so they're going to make 600 with us, and hopefully Ford will make 800, and we'll all do it together.
With those kinds of numbers, it's easy to see that Tom Wimmer is truly the Cal Ripken of sprint car racing. But don't look for the high-speed hitman to get out of the game anytime soon.
As long as it's still fun, I'll just continue doing it, you know. When it gets to the point that we're not having fun out here anymore, why, we'll look for something else.
And keep in mind that these two guys also own 2 other teams. They actually had a 3-car team for the period of about 2 years. So 800 consecutive just for this car. Toss on those others. That's certainly a lot of races, Ralph.
Absolutely, you got that exactly right. Here's some of the crowd having a big time here at the 14th Annual Kings Royal. For the later in designer fashion, coming to World of Outlaw race. We are back to Eldora Speedway, Rossburg, Ohio. The Pennzoil World of Outlaws in action for the 14th Annual Kings Royal. Ralph Sheen alongside of Brad Doty, Bobby Gerald, and Dave Reef working pit lane here for you tonight. And, you know, anytime you want to go to the races and you're looking for the best places to hang out, there's really only one person who knows all the cool spots, and that's the other guy in our broadcasting crew, Steve Evans.
Well, thank you, Ralph. And, folks, do you want a VIP suite at Eldora Speedway? No problem. Bring your own. Look at the motorhomes circled high above turns 1 and 2. Now you say, oh, it'd probably take, you know, reservations months in advance, cost a couple $100. Not here. The Earl says, first come, first serve, $6 a night, and you can camp for a week if you want. And let me tell you, the variety of vehicles up here is incredible. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a thousandaire. In fact, there's a pickup truck with a camper on it I wouldn't give $500 for. But all in all, just another facet of Eldora Speedway. Everybody still having a good time. And, you know, the technology in sprint car racing is ever-changing. And Dave Reef earlier found out that includes motors as well, especially when it comes to how do you get the air and the methanol into that motor.
We hear all the time about how drivers try to dial in their sprint cars to the racetrack. Well, Andy Hillenberg goes one step further with his STP Sprinter. He dials in his motor to the racetrack. How does he do that? A brand new injection system developed by Tim Engler. Now, what normally is a one-piece plenum butterfly system is now 2 pieces. The butterfly comes off with 8 bolts. What's the advantage? Well, you can change the amount of air that goes into the engine. If you're on a big, heavy racetrack and need the throttle wide open, you just put in these large diameter butterflies. But what happens when the track slicks off or you move to a smaller racetrack? You just pop off these 8 bolts, put in a little bit of a smaller diameter butterfly. The absolute best part about this, instead of changing the entire motor, you just change the butterfly, and it takes 10 minutes.
That can make a big difference, can't it?
Yes, it can. That's just one of the things that you fine-tune the race car. These guys are always looking for an edge, and you do it with gear, stagger, headers sometimes, and now the fuel injection.
It's amazing.
It is.
Always evolving, and now they're not making the big gains by these things that they've done in the last couple of years. Now we're talking about a couple of tenths on the clock.
Hundreds. These guys are looking for hundreds. You know, it's getting that particular now.
Bobby Gerald, what do you have for us?
Well, I have the man who drives number 1 Australia, and he has opened some eyes this weekend at Eldora Speedway, and that, of course, is Gary Brazier, a 3-time Australian national titleist. And Gary, I mean, you really have opened some eyes here. Second quick tonight. You finished 6th last night. You've taken to this speedway very easily. You comfortable?
Yeah, I'm real comfortable, you know. Whenever I can get to a racetrack when you're wide open up against the wall, you know, I feel we're pretty decent around there. And we've put this new car together off Brian Schnee and the Chrono Racing engine. And everything's just working really well right now.
No offense, but it'd be a huge upset if you could win the Kings Royal tonight and take home $50,000 American. You'd be pretty happy about that?
Well, this is one of the races in my whole life that I've dreamed about winning, and, you know, everybody out there has got a good chance of winning. I don't expect to go out there and win. If I can run in the top 6 like I did last night, I'd be really happy, but that 50 grand could sure come in handy.
You'd be telling your friends about it for a long time over there.
I'd be telling everybody about it for a long time.
Gary Brazier, hoping for the best in his first ever Kings Royal run.
And he really could be one of the drivers to keep an eye on here later. He's been quick all weekend long, as you heard Bobby say. We'll be back with plenty more from Eldora coming up. There's a good look at the back straightaway here, and as you can see down there at turn 2, it really starts to narrow up, and you've got to have a good run off of that And that turn 2 area was a real tough spot for one guy last night, Steve Kinzer, standing by with Bobby.
Well, Steve Kinzer is going to be starting on the outside of the front row. Steve, we talked with Sammy Swindell a couple of moments ago, and he said that he didn't think the pole was the best place to be. He thought you had the best starting spot. Do you agree?
You never know. We'll see when it starts. Normally the outside's a little better, but we'll just see what happens.
How much does your adrenaline get flowing before these big money races, the first one in the month of money?
Come back. I didn't hear you there.
Your adrenaline, how much does it flow?
Oh, it does. It gets up there a little bit, so we'll just see what happens.
All right, Steve Kinzer is always very focused when he gets inside of a sprint car. He starts to go through his routine right now as he gets set on the run for 50 grand.
Steve Kinzer, you can never count him out, even though the car hasn't been as quick as this car, the one he's running tonight, is not as quick as the one he ran last night, Brad, but you can never count him out.
Well, he talked earlier about the frame rails banging. This car was built for the mile. They've raised the torsion tubes in the car, which puts the frame closer down to the ground. So at Eldora, when he gets in the corners, the car gets down and it bangs the frame rail, upsets the car, and makes him want to slide toward the wall. So that's definitely not to his advantage right now. He's got Scott Gherkin right there working on the left rear. He's checking the air pressure. He's one of the best there is, and he'll do everything he can to compensate for it and make sure he gets Steve comfortable.
And this is an amazing group of stats here. Mark Kinzer, look at how he is done in so many different categories. Quick times, 19 of them. Track records, 9. Top 5 finishes, 40. Brad, the thing that amazes me as you look at this, remember the first year that he teamed up with his father, Carl, he only ran a handful of the races, but they won a lot of them. Last year, they ran together. He wins the championship after running all season together. This year, he's not running all the races because he's doing the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Tour on a couple of events, so he's not going to be in the competition for the points championship this year. If he had run 3 full seasons with his father, you could argue he might be going for his 3rd World of Outlaw Championship this year.
Yeah, and that's not much of an argument either.
No, it's not.
The way he's dominated the money earnings and everything in the wins, the races he skipped, if he'd just finished well, he'd probably be well out in front of
Carl Kinzer,
point lead.
A real genius when it comes to wrenching cars, and Mark Kinzer's turning out to be quite a driver behind the wheel, isn't he?
Oh, he certainly is, and I tell you what, he just reappeared from out of his trailer. I looked for him, I couldn't find him, but when he came out, I looked in his eyes. I have seen a race face like no other. Mark, you're getting ready to go into the Kings Royal here. We talked about it earlier, a race you've never won. Again, now you're already in. What does it mean?
Well, it means the world to me and to my sponsors. Now it's come down to give or take, and hopefully we can take. It's going to be a tough track and a lot of good cars ahead of us and behind us, so it's going to be a damn tough race tonight.
It's the only race he hasn't won with his father. We'll find out in 40 laps. Bobby Gerald?
Well, I tell you what, guys, I think the crowd is still buzzing from last night and also from this afternoon when we saw the heat races, and Dave Blaney got right up there close to the fence and came in second to Jack Hodenshield. Dave, you start 9th tonight. You're going to have to put it right up there against the wall?
Well, I'm sure that's where the fast road's going to be. You're going to have to get up there and get some momentum going and see if you can dive under the guy in the next corner. But, I'd much rather be up the first couple rows, but if we can get there from 9th if we're operating good enough.
Are you superstitious at all, Dave? You won in 93 and 95. This is an odd year.
I'm not superstitious at all.
All right, just food for thought.
Dave Blaney will tell you he's nothing but a racer.
No superstition, just a lot of hard work and for that whole crew and a lot of dedication, and it's sure paying off for him.
Do you think that Dave Blaney and Jack Hodenshield are the 2 best you've ever seen run these high banks?
I'm probably going to get in trouble, but yes, I do. I mean, Doug Wolfgang and Steve Kinzer for years, put on great shows. But those 2 guys, after that, especially that heat race stuff for the last few years, arguably, they have to be the best lately.
This has nothing to do with the fact that your residence is in Apple Creek, Ohio.
Down the road from Hod. We grew up together. No, it really doesn't. I mean, he gives me goosebumps, him and Blaney both, and especially after that heat race. It's going to be a great show here in the main event.
Well, he's standing by with Dave Reef, and Dave, I got to agree with Brad here. I think Jack is one of the best on the high banks here.
Oh, he certainly is. There is no doubt about it. And then looking inside the Jackpot Junction car, Team Pennzoil obviously ready to go. They're very number 1 in the push-off lane. Jack, what's going on in your head right now, and what are the plans for tonight's Kings Royal?
Well, we're just, it's 40 laps, so we're just going to try and keep up with the front runners there and see what happens right there at the end. If we can keep up with them, I think maybe we can get around them at the end.
With a name like Wild Child, what's the key? Is it patience?
you just kind of got to pace yourself and make sure you definitely keep up with them and don't let them get too far away. And we should be right there at the end.
Well, I think everyone knows Jack Hoddenschild's pace. That's foot to the floor.
There is no doubt about where Jack Hodenschild is going to plant his foot when Doug Clark throws the green through the floorboards. The Kings Royal coming up. Welcome back. We're getting close to the beginning of the 14th annual Kings Royal. They are pushing off all the cars except for one. Dave Reef with the story.
And that's the Gold Eagle 7TW Jeff Swindell crew hard at work. They've already lost one motor tonight due to a push rod problem. They've lost their second one. They're trying to get that push rod thing fixed right now. Crew hard at it. I don't know if they're going to make it out. And keep in mind, they are using a provisional. Steve Evans?
Well, Dave, an awful lot of people here tonight don't have a seat, but that doesn't seem to be dampening their enthusiasm. And we've already talked to a lot of the drivers. Let's talk to some of the fans to see who they'd like to win the 50 grand tonight. Who would you like to see win tonight?
Kenny Jacobs.
Kenny Jacobs.
Yeah.
Good choice. And you?
Kenny Jacobs.
I think we ran into a Kenny Jacobs. How about you?
Well, I'd say, I'd have to say Dave.
Dave Blaney?
Dave Blaney has got it, yep.
Gotta be a Buckeye. I think I know who you want by the shirt.
Hoddenchild.
I had a feeling. How about you?
Jack Hoddenchild all the way.
And you?
Wild Child, Jack Hoddenchild.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a hat if you can tell me what driver is qualified for the A-main for all 13 Kings Royals for this beautiful hat.
Qualified for what?
All 13 Kings Royals has made the field the A-main for all 13.
Steve Kinzer, probably.
Steve Kinzer. What a catcher you are. All right, Ralph Shaheen, let's go racing, bud.
Oh, we are ready to do that, and here is your lineup for the Kings Royal, the 14th annual, as we get that look at this front row. The 1992 winner alongside of the guy who has won the Kings Royal 3 times, Slammin' Sammy and the King. Jack Hodenschild, he's a 2-time winner here at this event. Stevie Smith, he has 3 feature wins in 97. Gary Brazier, the quick Aussie, up against Mark Kinzer, who has never won this race but has 15 wins in 97. Joey Saldana, 4 All-Star victories this year, has Kenny Jacobs alongside of him. Kenny has won 3 of 4 races with the All-Stars here this year. The Buckeye Bullet, 2 times he has won this, Dave Blaney. And, of course, Donnie Tequila Schatz is the Rookie of the Year points leader with the World of Outlaws. Greg Hodnett will come in with the 11-8. He was the B winner. And Gus Wasson alongside of him. Andy Hillenberg still looking for his first feature win of 1997. Terry McCarl, Neer, and Keith Kaufman, one of the quickest out of Pennsylvania. As we work our way back through, Johnny Herrera, of course, the winner of this event last year. Danny Smith back there in row 10. Dale Blaney running one of his brother's engines tonight. Paul McMahon in the Mopar back in row 12. And Danny the Dude Lasowski and Jeff Swindell will be provisionals. 26 cars in tonight's race, Bobby Gerald. The Kings Royal has never started more than 24.
I am so looking forward to this, Ralph Shaheen. It's very interesting. We just talked with the Goodyear guys about tire choices. The top 3 guys in terms of, some of the top 3 runners, Mark Kinzer, Dave Blaney, and Jack Hodenschild, all going with the 25C. That's your average standard Goodyear tire. Steve Kinzer's team, though, has put on a 40A. That is a harder compound tire. As a matter of fact, there's a choice in between. They went all the way with the hardest one, Dave Reeve.
Well, I'm down here with Stu Murray, and we already know that Mark Kinzer has his game face on, but they're also playing on a little superstition tonight. Every big race Mark's been to, he has touched the sock of Stu Murray, the Working America president that you're looking at now. But if you look down, there is no sock on Stu Murray. That's because it is in the pocket of Mark Kinzer out on the racetrack right now.
I'm not so sure I want to be in that car right now.
Do whatever you have to do to win.
I guess. Team Jacobs pitted after pushing off. He will be forced to start at the back now in the 1F car, the Frigidaire back machine.
Well, it didn't hurt him that bad. He was scheduled to start 23rd anyway, so whatever the problem was, it didn't set him back that much.
Brad, 40 laps. How is that different mentally and how you prepare for this as the World of Outlaws go 4 abreast now in their traditional salute to the fans?
Well, this race, the last 10 laps, being a 40-lapper, it seems like for the last few years, the last 10 laps, drastic things have happened. Dramatic things have happened. Lead changes, cars braking. So, like Hodenschild says, you just want to try to, not like Winston Cup, you don't just hang around ever in sprint car racing, but you got to save a little bit for the end.
Now listen to this crowd as they get set in their traditional salute. 50 grand coming up for grabs, and these fans love their Outlaws. somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,200 pounds. They're packing 800 horsepower of alcohol-eating, fire-belching horsepower buried in their bellies, and they got those massive wings the size of Texas strapped to the roofs. And some of the best drivers at the controls as we get set to go around this 13-second lap time half mile with 28-degree bank turns. This is going to be awesome for 40 laps.
Yeah, this is showing Dave Blaney there. You know, we talked about him and Hod. It's going to be hard to beat Sammy and Steve off the front row for sure. Jack's right there, but Blaney's got a long way to go. As you see, Jeff Swindell, they did make it. They got the problem fixed and going to start the A-main.
He'll line up in the back alongside of Danny Lasowski. Slamming Sammy Swindell and the King. Steve Kinzer leading him to the green flag. The King's Royal is underway. Sammy retaking the lead as they come into turn 4. Steve Kinzer coming right back.
Turned the car and got right back under him. What a battle.
Oh, Stevie Smith hard into the wall in turn 2. That'll bring out the red flag. And Greg Hodnett clips him and goes flying up into the air.
Well, Greg never actually hit him. It looked like Greg turned the car so fast to avoid it. One of the tire dug in and flipped him. Both of those hard hits. If you look at Stevie Smith's car, though, the wing is intact. It more or less pirouetted in the air. He doesn't even look like he flipped, but he did. I mean, it was a hard hit.
You were right about him not hitting him, I think, Brad. I looked over there and just saw him flying through the air, and the pack was so tight over there, I just basically assumed it from the looks of things that he had to have hit him.
It just, yeah, he did a good job not to. It just got so bottled up down there that Stevie's lucky that a bunch of guys didn't run into him, actually.
Greg Hodnett able to climb out and get away, but look at how he has destroyed this car. The gas tank ripped away. You can see all the damage, the nose wing gone. Here's our first look at this. Now, Stevie Smith has already gone over. Watch Hodnett right here.
Oh, he gets up over the left rear wheel of...
Hey, I wasn't so bad, was he? He did hit somebody.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been Kenny Jacobs, but when he turned the car, the car rode right up over the left
Look
rear.
at Blaney just missing. That's Blaney going down there, isn't it? He just missed him.
That's Frankie Kerr. Just about hit him. See, we're going to get another look at it from another angle here.
Stevie Smith already going over.
Yeah, there's Stevie. Top. Okay, there's Stevie Smith sitting in there.
Here it is.
There's Greg Hodnett.
Now, watch Blaney come through here. You see him up above. Look at that. Unbelievable.
It looks like Blaney ran over his wing, ran over Hodnett's wing as he was coming down.
Now, this is from Jack Hodenshield's onboard camera. That's Stevie Smith exploding the dirt behind him.
Boy, that was an impact.
Now, under this red flag condition, Dave Blaney's crew is looking things over on the 10 car as Greg Hodnett takes a look at his Sal Michelle car. Let's check in with Bobby Jarrell.
Well, we can tell you for sure that Kenny Jacobs did get a piece of the action. Take a look at the left rear tire, which has already come off, and they have changed it. So Stevie Smith a real lucky break for Kenny Jacobs as far as the red flag coming out because he's able to change the tire. Dave Reef?
Stevie Smith, first things first, you are okay?
Yeah.
Talk about what happened. What got you into trouble?
You can't see the wall. You're running 150 mile an hour, and it's completely brown, blended in with the racetrack. I mean, there's no way you can see it. Look over there, getting in the corner. We need some people to scrape the wall down. If I'd have thought of it earlier, I would have had them do it.
Stevie Smith sending a message. Obviously disappointed to be out of the King's Royal.
Well, now that's a point he brings up. Last night they did go out there when it was completely covered, and they cut what looked like just white stripes, just basically scraping the dirt off every 3-4 feet, and made it look up there, a bunch of white lines so the drivers could actually see where the wall was. It cost Greg Hodnett and Stevie Smith. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the King's Royal. The red flag is still out for the $50,000 feature. Nobody is injured. You know, I grew up in this business. I started really in the food business when I was about 12 years old, and I know a good operation when I see it. And Earl Baldus knows all these people are going to be out here a long time, and he's got to feed them. They travel on their stomach like an army. And do they ever eat here? Because when's the last time you got a hamburger at a special event for $1.50? Or a cheeseburger, freshly cooked. I mean, really good. I've had about a dozen of them since I've been here for $1.75. Everything you see here is very reasonably priced. In fact, you get a lemonade for 50 cents. all in all, the fans respond. They don't bother to bring their own food because they know that here at Eldora, they can eat with the best of them. Let's go down to Dave Reef with Greg Hodnett.
Well, you can see what's left of the Selma Show, car number 11H. You can't even read the number on the wing as they get ready to set it down. I've got Greg Hodnett standing right here. Greg, number 1 for you. Are you okay?
Yeah, I don't like to get on TV this way, but I guess this is what's going to happen.
Looks like you were kind of, I guess, an innocent victim. What took place from your vantage?
Well, we had started 11 and probably made it up to about 6 there, and I think Stevie got up here and maybe pushed, and he jumped the cushion and hit the wall and kind of come back off of it, and I had a head of steam, and I couldn't slow down, and I just kind of got in there and clipped him and hit the fence all at the same time, and that's about all she wrote for this car.
Race car junk?
Well, if it wasn't, it is now.
Let's go down to the 10 pit. Bobby?
All right, Dave, let's show you the piece of the action that Dave Blaney got. If you take a look at the bottom of his front or his top wing on the right side panel, you can see where it was dented. Also, his front wing got a piece of the action. They have since replaced that. They've also replaced the top wing, so new wings all the way around for Dave Blaney, and he will be ready to go and resume the fight here in the Kings Royal. Ralph?
Now, an interesting thing on that, because they changed the wings, that will not affect where Dave will restart the race. However, Kenny Jacobs changed the tire, which will make him go to the rear of the restart.
Well, yeah, Bobby talked about it maybe being lucky. I look at it as a former driver as unlucky because Greg Hodnett is the one that got into Kenny Jacobs, rode up over his left rear when he flipped, and that flattened Kenny Jacobs. So he was actually unlucky there. Now he's forced to go to the tail.
Here's a look at your top 10 as we get set to start this one up again. How about Gary Brazier sitting back there in 5th? Mark Kinzer's never won this race. He's in 4th. We'll be right back. You're looking at the remains of the number 19, the black 19 of Stevie Smith. His father, Steve Smith, designed this new chassis that Stevie drives. It's 30 pounds heavier, Brad, than the other cars in the field. And one of the reasons why is Steve Sr. has decided to add some extra bars to the car to make it safer, he feels, for his son to drive. And it took a pretty nasty flip in this wreck. Take a look at this. And it survives pretty good as you look at the back of Jack Hodden's shield. Watch it come flying into your screen from the left.
Hard impact. Boy, that just jars you.
Now, Brad, I also see some of those white marks on the wall that Stevie was looking for.
Yeah.
Some of them were there.
Yeah, where he hit it at, they did have it scraped off there.
You can see them here to the left. A little bit more in the middle there, they weren't as visible. And there's Hodnett. Look at the right.
And there's where Blaney got his wing. Actually, it looked like Blaney's front tire might have hit too. I wonder if they checked the front axle, make sure it wasn't bent.
Terry McCarl and Frankie
right there,
Kurtzleit
Hodnett gets up over on the right side of the screen, gets up over Kenny Jacobs' left rear.
Look at the wild ride he takes. That's 10, 15 feet in the air right there.
I wonder if Blaney thought about gassing it and driving under him while he was still in the air.
Bobby Gerald?
Well, Scott Gherkin turns the wrenches and calls the shots for Steve Kinzer, along with Steve. And you guys tonight chose the 40A Goodyear tire. That's a harder compound than really any of the other heavy hitters we're going with. What was the thought process there?
Well, we just sort of talked to some of the guys that ran the B main and some of the other races, and they felt that the thing might take some rubber, and it was hurting tires quite a bit in the B main. It's sort of a gamble sometimes. You don't really know which way you need to go. I mean, we may seal our tire over, and those guys are great, or it may hurt tires more and we'll be in good shape. You just never know.
We'll know after the checkered flag, right, Scott? All right. Steve Evans?
We will know indeed. I said earlier the Eldora crowd was a very knowledgeable crowd. Let's find out. This is Ron from Ohio. Ron, what is the trick question here? What is the minimum weight of an Outlaw sprint car?
I would say it's 800 pounds.
Well, you're wrong. What is the maximum engine size of an Outlaw sprint car?
410.
All right, you get the T-shirt. I said it was a trick question. There is no minimum weight on an Outlaw sprint car, guys.
Brad, so much more I know.
I think there should be. They have to do something, Ralph. I'm not sure what the answer is, and I hate to get out of this easy, but it's getting so expensive. We've talked about it before with the titanium and all the trick materials they're using and things. So they have to do something, whether it's a weight limit or just limiting certain kinds of material. They have to do something to cut the cost.
Well, I've had an opportunity to talk to Ted Johnson, president of the World of Outlaws, and he said that next year, in talking about this, as you watch Doug Clark, the starter here, getting everybody lined back up, that they're taking a hard look at going to standard tubing on the top and bottom rails for these cars, and that the down tubes will be different, but they also will have standard tubing. The cage is already taken care of. Everybody pretty much has to be with standard tubing thickness. Of course, that standard tubing thickness that will be prescribed by the World of Outlaws will add to that weight, so maybe the weight on these cars will come up just from the wall thickness that will be coming with these cars in 1998. Dave Reed?
Talked to the brothers Swindell during the red flag incident. Jeff did make it out, got the push rod problem fixed, but they've got another problem now, so they figure they're running on 6 or 7 cylinders. As far as your race leader, Sammy Swindell, actually your second place car, they dropped a half a pound out of the right rear to try to tighten that race car up. That's the story about the Swindells.
One to watch will be Johnny Herrera, the 47 car, the one that won this last year. He went from 17th to 9th in 1 lap. We're back to green. The Kings Royal back underway.
There's the cone. They'll have to go around that without running over it.
Kinzer, Sammy, Jack Hodgshield, Mark Kinzer, Gary Frazier, Donnie Schatz. That is your top 6 cars. Dave Blaney runs at 7. Herrera now up to 8.
See the difference in the line? Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell took the high line. Jack Hodgshield and Mark Kinzer both went to the bottom. Now they're back up to speed. They elected to go back to the top.
There's the fight with Gary Frazier and Dave Blaney. Blaney dives to the bottom, and the yellow number 10, the Vibrant car. The Australian driver dips back to the bottom himself and returns the slide job.
Gary Frazier acts like he's ran here for years. I mean, he knows the slide jobs. He knows how to counteract the slide job, and he's doing a good job for a great job for all the more experience.
That is the fight for 5th that you were watching. Blaney, a 2-time winner of this event, trying to get his 3rd as the month of money gets underway. 50 grand up for grabs tonight. What is it about this Australian driver that's making him pretty quick tonight, do you think?
Well, like he said earlier, he just likes the high-speed racetracks. You know, the bigger the better for him, and put the hammer down and run as hard as you can. And that's kind of amazing to me, because Australia, most of the racetracks are little quarter miles that are kind of a pea gravel type surface. And for him to adapt to this and be comfortable with it is pretty good.
Joe, we got one spinning. That's Dean Jacobs.
Boys.
Oh, look at Jack Hodgshield and Sammy Swindell diving through there as the leaders went into traffic. We're going to stay green. He's going to have to get going again, but Doug Clark leaves the green out.
Well,
not for long.
This brings out the yellow. Dean had to stop. He knew he was in trouble. He lost a lot of ground, so he possibly just stopped to bring out the yellow flag, so he can. He'll have to go to the tail, but at least he can catch up and get a slow lap to get to the tail.
Watch Steve Kinzer in the Quaker State car. He's trying to put a lap on the 3G of Joe Gertie here. And
going into turn 3.
Right there up high.
Right in front of the leader.
Steve slides past. Now watch as he goes in, and the Nerf bar in the back of the tail tank rubbing up on the wall, causing all those sparks.
This is about what we saw Sammy do earlier in Save It. These guys are doing a good job. The rear tires are stopped at that point. I think it refired the engine as he started back down the bank again. But he stopped here on the front straightaway, and again, that will put him to the tail.
Dean Jacobs qualifying for his 2nd Kings Royal here tonight. Having problems is working Woody. Comes to check him out. To Steve Evans.
Well, guys, and that we have a yellow out, I'd like to take just a moment to extend our best wishes to one of our comrades here at Diamond P Sports, our unit manager, Paul Grubb. Paul is going through some very difficult family times. And, Paul, if you're watching live here on TNN from your mom's house out in Oregon, our best wishes to you and your entire family. And please come back quickly, because we found out how hard it is to be a unit manager. I mean, I'm hauling ice, man. You got to get back and help us. Okay, when we come back, we'll see a restart of the Kings Royal.
We're packed high atop this jam-packed grandstand here at Eldora as you take a look at the top 5 for the 14th annual Kings Royal. Only 7 of the 40 laps completed. Gary Frazier hanging in there in 5th. And Mark Kinzer still riding around in 4th. Doug Noe Clark, your flag man here tonight. Doug is quick to point out there is no E in
You know, these yellows aren't really helping Steve Kinzer with that harder compound tire. You know, the harder compound tends to seal over sometimes on a restart, which means it loses traction. And being a harder compound, the longer you run, generally the better it gets. There's 3 wide coming out of turn 4 as Mark Kinzer gets under Hodenshield.
So Mark now moves up to third. Hod almost into the wall down there in 1 and 2. Jeff Swindell, that 7TW, he's struggling. He's a lap car. The fight is with Blaney trying to get up to Brazier. That is a fight back in 5th position right now. And here comes Johnny Herrera inside of Blaney. Remember, he started 17th, Brad.
Look at this, and driving over nobody else right through the bottom to the middle of the racetrack.
Gil Saunders spins the wrenches on this car, and he has got him another one here tonight. Look at this. Here comes Herrera again now. He is up to 5th position. Johnny Herrera started 17th. He is running 5th. Last year's Kings Royal winner, looking to do it again here tonight.
And using a line that nobody else, none of the fast cars are using yet, right around the bottom, in the middle of the racetrack.
Steve Kinzer is your leader. Sammy Swindell second. Mark Kinzer third. Jack Hodenshield fourth. And it's Herrera fifth. Brazier sixth. Dave Blaney now moving down to the bottom. He runs in 7th.
What Blaney saw what Johnny Herrera did when he went by, and Blaney tried it, and it's not working for Blaney. His car's not set up properly to run down there. He moved back to the top.
And your leader, Steve Kinzer, the Quaker State number 11. He's up against the wall. He actually slapped it right there.
And when you saw that 3-car of Joe Gertie dive underneath, I mean, that's not the position. Joe Gertie is a lap down. Steve's got a well, not comfortable lead. Sammy's probably 8 to 10 car lengths behind him. Sammy Swindell in the channel lock number 1, with Mark Kinzer about that far back in third. A lot of heavy lap traffic coming up.
He's got Dale Blaney in front of him, who comes out of the All-Star Tour, running his brother Dave's engine tonight. Sammy Swindell, you can see the blue number 1 closing in, and here's the fight for third. The 5, the white and orange number 5M. He holds the position. That's Mark Kinzer. The yellow number 22 of Jack Hodenshield coming up after him as they go now around Joe Gertie with 25 to go.
And you might have noticed Sammy Swindell in the channel lock number 1 with Claire on the bottom in 3 and 4 as well. He's trying. Everybody's looking around, trying different lines.
And Hod will make the pass, and look at Mark up on the wall. Will that bring out a yellow? He's still rolling.
Something, either he's got a flat, yes, his right rear tire's flat.
It sure is. And he waves at Doug Clark, who now waves the yellow. Mark Kinzer, who has never won the Kings Royal, is going to struggle to do it here tonight.
His right rear was going down before he hit the wall, Ralph. The way the car acted, it was going down before he got into the wall. See the car just kind of go in there and slide and slide and slide. It's down at that point. And then he goes up there and just brushes the wall. But it gets the right front up on there. Probably no damage to the right front. It might have bent the right front wheel, the axle back just a little bit, but not enough to hurt him.
Mark Kinzer has won 17 of the 45 starts he has made with the World of Outlaws in 1997. We'll be right back for more from Eldora. They've completed the tire change on the working 5M of Mark Kinzer as we come back to you live from the Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio. Of course, he will tag the back of the line since he changed a tire. And there he is getting pushed off. Brad, as you take a look at the field out here right now and you see Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell running first and second and all the young guys chasing these two veterans, I think experience paying off here tonight, and they had a better idea how to set up at least early on here.
Well, and like you and I spoke that these guys have a lot of laps here too, and we talked about Dave and Jack earlier. Kinzer's been here a long time too, him and Sammy both, but yeah, they got that 40 right rear tire. The experience told them to maybe take the chance and go with that. And this car being the mile car, this is obviously a high-speed racetrack, so it's not hurting them that much, and maybe they can hang on.
Let's check in with Bobby Gerald.
Well, Ralph and Brad, a question for Brad here. On that red flag, the initial red flag, Steve Kinzer came in and they changed the gears, the rear end of the car. They went to a lower gear. Steve said he wanted to do that to get the car off the corner a little bit better. Now, Dave Reef has a story in Mark's pit, but Brad, make sure and talk about that. Dave?
Well, I'm down with the Working America crew. You can see right here the problem for Mark Kinzer. They don't know if this hole was quite that big before they hit the wall, but that was the cause of their problem, a big cut in the tire.
Bobby talking about that gear. He went to a lower gear to keep more RPMs. He must have been bogging the engine coming off the corner, so they went a little bit lower to keep the RPMs up and comes up off the corner.
Jeff Swindell kind of held up his brother Sammy. They can't pass anybody till they go past that orange cone, and Jeff was just in front of his brother, and his car struggling to get going. As soon as he got past it, he cut down. Meanwhile, Steve was able to open up a healthy lead.
Yeah, Jeff running on 5 or 6 or 7 cylinders, like you said here earlier, and he's just down around the bottom trying to stay out of the way right now.
Here comes Hollywood Herrera. Charging to the front is Johnny Herrera, and I got to believe these cautions are helping him.
See the line he's running, Ralph. Again, everybody's, you see Gary Brazier trying to get a spot back, going around the top.
And going to do it. Oh, gets just the door shut there, but maybe he'll get him here in 1 and 2.
Johnny's right down there in the brown with a little bit of moisture yet, trying to get a hold of everything he can down there.
And Hodgenfield's got a problem with his top wing.
Just like Herrera last year.
Only a little bit more extreme. Now, this is the fight for third that you're watching, and Hodgenfield with a huge problem on that wing.
Last year, this I will say will affect Hodgenfield tonight more than did Johnny last year. Remember, last year, the track got rubber down. It got real sticky, and it might have been to Johnny's advantage last year, where tonight, the track's a little drier. That's going to hurt Hodgenfield.
Mark Kinzer, by the way, back down pit road. He is out of this. And how will that car handle now with that big sideboard car?
It's going to loosen it up as he enters the corner. He doesn't have the wing, but like a rudder to help slow the car. And the back of the car is going to get loose and get out from under him more.
So Sammy Swindell.
Although I say that, and he's closed up on Sammy a little bit.
And there is your fight behind them as you look at Gary Brazier. And Hod now, it seems to slowing down as you look at him there, and there is Herrera trying to close in.
Yeah, it's definitely slowing him down now.
Oh, we got one hard into the wall in turn 2.
Donnie Schatz,
I believe you're right, and Danny Lasowski spins to avoid him. Schatz took a big hit in turn 2.
You know, these guys keep trying.
Now, this could be good for Hodgenfield.
Exactly. This is exactly what Hodgenfield... I thought I didn't want to say it. The Hodgenfield needed a red. I didn't want to jinx anybody, but that is exactly what Hodgenfield needed.
And the crew gets to Donnie Schatz to check on him. Here comes Working Woody.
These guys keep trying, but they still haven't knocked Earl's walls down yet.
No. And Donnie now crawling out of the car. He's okay.
Yeah, Hodgenfield needed this. Oh, what a savior for him. Now they can change the wing, keep his position.
They're checking with Donnie Schatz, who's doing such a great job in the Pennzoil World of Outlaw Rookie of the Year battle. Now watch the right side of your TV screen, and you'll see what happened to Donnie Schatz. There he is.
That's coming out of turn 2. He just got in a little high, that looks like, and banged the wall with the right rear. That pulls the right front in, and when it does that, it climbs up, and usually you go for a ride just like that.
Donnie finished 8th in the Kings Royal last year as a rookie here. Now this year, of course, he's doing the whole Rookie of the Year points chase. To Dave Reed.
Mark Kinzer, Kings Royal going to have to wait one more year. What happened?
Well, we had a flat tire there, and the car rode the wall for some times. I thought it might even turn over. I don't know. We got some problem in the steering or some drag links bent back. We'll just have to take a look at it. When we restarted the race, she was a handful, so we have to pull in and save the working maximum for another day.
Well, they were 3 for 4 last year, worth $230,000.
And Guy Forbrook is ordered a wing change for his driver, Jack Hodenshield. Bobby Gerald is there.
That's right, guys. It was a long run from the turn 4 into the pits all the way down to the turn 1 into the pits. And that is where Jack Hodenshield's crew is going to work right now. And I ran with them. I'm a little winded myself. So these guys are winded, trying to change the top wing. They'll get Hod back out, and this red flag came at an opportune time.
And the onboard camera took a beating in that one, because that's where our onboard camera mount should be. Thanks, Hod. We'll be back to Eldora.
We are back at Eldora, and the last incident is still being cleaned up. I want you to know how mellow this place is. I want you to meet... Cool it, guys, really. Officer Glenn Curtis of the Darke County Sheriff's Department here in Ohio. You're a sprint car fan as well as a man of the law, and that helps out here.
Right. It's a great place to be. Great fans, great racing.
And your dad was a driver.
Yeah, back in the 50s.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Who's the only driver, he's an Ohio driver, to have won the Kings Royal twice in the decade of the 90s?
Heck, I have no idea. I have no idea.
His initials are Dave Blaney. This guy's been helping us with crowd control, and we appreciate it. Now, as you've been paying attention, you know that Johnny Herrera, who started 17th, has moved all the way up to 4th. A sensational performance tonight by the defending champion of the Kings Royal event. Earlier, Dave Reeves, well, he talked to Johnny.
Call him King Johnny or call him Hollywood Herrera. Either way, last year's Royal Ransom winner loves the bright lights and big thrills that is sprint car racing. $50,000 will do that for just about anyone, but it also gave him something else.
Gave me confidence. I always knew I could win the races against these racing with racing with the Outlaws. You know, I'm one of them, but it gives you a lot more confidence. You know you can win. You know you can win the big races, and if you can shine at the big races, the other ones will come with it.
Undoubtedly, 1996 was the bright spot in his 11-year career. With the tour-leading 21 heat race wins, the Desert Southwest native finished 9th in the points. It's the 9th time in 11 tries he's accomplished a top 15 points finish. Toss on an off-season marriage to the former Shannon Kennons, and Johnny couldn't wait for 1997.
You know, we won that race, continued the rest of the year. It wasn't too bad for us. Ended up through the winter, worked on things with Gilly and the team, tried to put a new program together. Same guys, same motors, me and Gilly, changed the crew guys around a little bit. Had higher expectations for this upcoming season.
But that hasn't exactly been the case. Early season motor problems, among other things, have put the 47 behind the 8 ball. However, a mid-season rally, paced by a win at Canandaigua, has Herrera back on the gas and in the top 10. And with Sprint Car's richest month just starting, what a time to get hot.
Well, it kind of seems to be that way. Last year, we kind of did the same thing. We struggled at the start of the year, had a lot of problems, up and down, motor problems, driver problems, like just a little bit of everything. We got things worked out about midway through, and here it is again about midway through. We won one race. Last year, we'd won one race at this time. Coming to the Kings Royal, we got that big one. Hopefully, we can repeat and do it again.
So don't pass the crown just yet, because if there's one thing Johnny Herrera likes, it's being called a king. Kings Royal. $50,000 up for grabs and a full moon lighting our way to the checkered flag. Johnny Herrera's going for it. We'll be back. Car's now getting pushed off as these fans are ready for this race to get back underway. 16 of the 26 starters still on the lead lap here at Eldora with the Kings Royal. Let's check in with Dave Reed. We just saw Johnny Herrera, the defending champion. He's on a charge. Why is he on a charge? Got a good hard tire on there. It's a 40. They've made some changes. Been running the middle portion of the racetrack. They've siped that tire, cut it up. They're going to run the bottom on this very first lap when it goes green. Then they're moving to the top. They're going to do everything they can do to chase them down. Bobby?
Well, Keith Laney is one of the tuners for Sammy Swindell, and we saw you guys working with the brakes and also changing a gear on that yellow flag.
Well, it was the power steering. It was working the power steering wheel hard, and the fluid was getting hot, so we just changed the fluid to try to get it cooled down so the power steering would start working again.
What about the gear change, higher or lower?
We went a little higher.
A little bit higher for Sammy Swindell on that gear change. They were really thrashing down your route.
Now here's a look at the top 10 as we get set for the restart. Here it is, Gary Brazier now still in 5th. Johnny Herrera, who started 17th, all the way up to 4th. Hodenshill with that new wing. That's going to make a big advantage. What do you think of some of the things you heard out of these guys, Brad? Good moves, bad moves?
Well, I was surprised to hear that Steve Kinzer went to a lower gear, and now we hear that Sammy did go to a higher gear. Generally, as the race goes on, the track gets a little drier. You get a little more wheel spin, and so that kind of surprised me that Steve did that, and we'll see what Sammy does with the higher gear.
Now, one car to keep an eye on is this one, the U2 of Keith Kaufman, one of the great drivers out of Pennsylvania. He started 16th. Brad, he's up to 8th. Now, he finished 3rd in this event back in 1988, so he's got a lot of laps here.
And he's having a great year. You know, at the beginning of the year, we saw him in Phoenix and stuff, and he crashed and all that. I met him at the Los Angeles airport. We flew home. He didn't even have a ride. He was going home to be a part-time electrician for, I believe, a brother-in-law, a family member. They got to ride in this U2, and he's having an incredible year, one of the best years he's ever had.
Dave Blaney still struggling to get up to the front of this one. Remember, there is a bit of a hex on the guy that wins the preliminary night here, which Dave Blaney did last night. We've only seen one driver do that.
Yeah, that was Jack Hodenshield, so it's not a good omen to win the first night.
Steve Evans joining us in the booth as well. What do you think, Steve?
I think it's absolutely spectacular. I've had more fun. I'm going to be black and blue tomorrow because all the fans keep patting me on the back for the fact that we all stayed till 3 o'clock in the morning last night to bring them that race. So can I pound all you guys on the back?
7 hours we were on the air straight here from Eldora, watching that man, the driver of that number 10 Byron car, Dave Blaney, pick up the win here. It was certainly worth sticking around for. We hope you were able to join us for all 7 hours as you take a look at the 5 drivers who are out of this one.
Why don't we take just a moment to remember the first man who ever made a lap around this racetrack, guys?
Absolutely. That would be
Don Hewitt, Jack Hewitt's dad, who passed away a few weeks ago from an unfortunate explosion on a car he was cutting apart. And like I said, he made the first lap here, and Jack Hewitt, his son, made a lot of good laps here as well.
All of us with our thoughts and prayers to Jack Hewitt and the entire Hewitt family. Actually, 17 cars. Danny Lasowski running at the tail end of the 17th on the lead lap. Possible problems for Jack Hodgenshield's left rear. We're here on the radios. We'll keep an eye on that as we go back to green and Steve Kinzer all the way up at the wall.
Look at Johnny Herrera did go to the bottom. He's underneath the Hod going into turn 1.
That would be for third. He's right there. Hod having some trouble getting the car to stick in the turn, but he hangs on to third.
He wasn't giving up easy.
Dale Blaney is just in between Sammy Swindell and Steve Kinzer. He's got it brought down. He pulls to the bottom. And look at Herrera on the bottom in the white 47. Jack Hodenshield, the third place car, the yellow 22 up high.
If Hod's tire was going down a little bit, you know, as long as they're under green, you build the heat from the tire spin, and it helps keep the air pressure in the tire. If you have the yellow and it's leaking real bad, it can go flat under the caution.
You'd never know. This was the same Steve Kinzer we saw last night, who quite honestly sounded like he didn't even want to be here before he crashed.
Yeah, I had to feel bad for Steve last night. I mean, that was a hard hit. He had to, you know, jar him loose pretty much. But they bring a car out here that's built for the mile, and right now he's really looking good.
The other thing to remember, gentlemen, is we are racing for a points championship here. Steve Kinzer came into Eldora as the points leader last night, lost that to this man, Sammy Swindell, and now they are running 1 and 2. What could this do to the point chase?
Well, Hodgeshield is third. All the point guys right there in the top 3,
except Dave Blaney.
And there he is.
And here look at this.
Andy Hillenberg just passed it.
Dave Blaney.
Dave was in trouble. Boy, right there he tried to retaliate when Andy Hillenberg went around him. He tried to turn the car and come back and got in the black and got real loose.
And now Andy going after Gary Brazier. He's going to go to the bottom. Now remember, Hillenberg runs the McCrary, which runs really good at opposite extremes, either in really heavy racetracks or real slick, which we got here tonight.
When it gets shiny like this, the McCrary really shines as well.
Nice job, Tony.
And he's doing a good job keeping it right up there on the cushion, using every bit of it that he can.
Evans is training you well. Andy Hillenberg second in this race last year, trying to work his way up as we've got 10 to go, and now Blaney catching up on Brazier.
Remember, I spoke earlier that it seems like 10 laps to go, there's been a lot of drastic changes in the Kings Royal. Not to jinx anybody, but it just seems like there have been a lot of changes in the positions in the last 10 laps.
Steve, these extra 10 laps can make a big difference.
Oh, they could, and wouldn't it be wonderful if we went to the last race of the year in Las Vegas, Nevada, live on TNN with this kind of a points chase?
You will see that live right here. You'll also see the Knoxville Nationals live, which is where we will be going next for more big money as Blaney tries to make his way up to the front. He's chasing Gary Brazier, the young Australian, trying to hang on to that white number 1.
Amazing that Brazier and his dad came out here for lap time, speed time, practice more than anything else, and they've been a contender both nights.
And Terry McCarl, slide jobs on Blaney.
Yeah, I don't know. Blaney has a tire problem. The car just looks real loose. I don't know if something's bent or something, but the car just looks extremely loose. He's having a hard time. Steve Kinzer just got tied up in traffic and let Sammy close right on. He went in under Frankie Kerr and got bottled up. And you see Sammy Swindell in the white number 1, the blue, or the white number 1, I'm sorry, and Jack Hodenshield right there coming out of turn 2, closing in on Sammy.
Sammy got going to go high, and here's Kinzer working around the outside with Lasky, and Hod now drops to the bottom.
Cal, did you see that move?
And Sammy is slowing. He's still going, but Brad, he doesn't look as good as he was before.
Dramatic. to go now. Haudenschild is closing on Steve Kinzer.
The only guy to ever win on Friday night and come back and do it on Saturday night for the Kings Royal. Can he do it again? Hod has actually won this race twice, but he's come oh so close so many times. The Mopar car in between them. Steve Kinzer, as you go on board with the Mopar car, that's Paul McMahon, and just in front of him, you can see underneath that Mopar sign, whoa, look at that, there's Jack Haudenschild, hello, and Kinzer in front of him.
So how close out of this camera that Paul McMahon, look at that, see how close Haudenschild right there, that's at 150 miles an hour. Closing in, he's going to dive to the bottom, try to take the spot from Paul McMahon. There he is.
White flag is out in the hands of Doug Clark, $50,000, the first of the month of money, and Steve Kinzer is going to win this with a car designed for the miles. He's going to do it on a half mile here at Earl Baltus's Eldora Speedway. 50 grand to the king of the Outlaws, Steve Kinzer, the 14th time here at the Kings Royal, and Steve Kinzer is going to pick up another, his fourth time that he will go to victory lane at the Kings Royal. We will be back to Earl Baltus's Eldora Speedway to talk to the four-time winner of the Kings Royal. Steve Kinzer, your winner. Is added to his legend once again. He crashes very hard last night, comes back with a car designed to run only on the miles, and picks up $50,000 on a short track. Dave Reef?
Well, Steve Kinzer is in the middle of a mob. Fortunately, he's got this little cornered off area as we get set for a celebration only fitting a king as he comes in, takes on the cape, getting ready to put on the crown. Steve, unbelievable. What a weekend for you. Can you paraphrase?
Well, like I said, agonies, the thrill of victory and the agonies of defeat. I had a hard time last night, tore a car up, and come back and won here, so maybe it just meant to happen.
Some people might say the king was kind of maybe down on his career. Hey, you're back bigger than ever.
Yeah, well, we ran good here. It's one of the three big ones right now, or four, and it's a good way to start, I can tell you that. All the big races are coming up. Heck, we might break even out of this thing now.
With that big mile car, too. Talk about that. How did it handle compared to the one that you crashed last night?
Well, the thing was, it was beating the frame rails on the ground. It was upsetting me a little bit through the corners. But
good as fifth. Andy Hillenberg ends up picking him off the McCrary tires for fourth. Sammy Swindell, you see him sitting there in third. This is really going to be interesting with the points chase. Steve will pick up 4 bonus points for leading the most laps here tonight. And this is just the first of the big month of money. Of course, they've still got to do the Silver Cup for 30 grand. They've got Knoxville Nationals, which you will see live here on TNM Motorsports with $100,000 up for grabs, and they'll be back here to run the historical big one for another $100,000. You will see those Knoxville Nationals, the granddaddy of them all, live right here on TNN. For the entire crew that hung in here for 9 live hours of sprint car racing, great job. See you in Knoxville.